right. Start the meeting off by saying good evening to everybody who's here and to the viewers at home. My name is Leonard Luciano. I'm the Essex County District 4 freeholder. I represent the 11 West Essex towns, and I am just happy to be here tonight before our meeting starts to honor and present a commendation resolution to the American Red Cross. It came to my attention by the Essex County Clerk, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. Essex County Clerk Christopher Durkin did give me a call and gave me the reminder that March is American Red Cross Month, and he reminded me that we have our, I want to say, lovely facility right in one of my hometowns, Fairfield, which I represent, Fairfield, which is in the westernmost end of Essex County. And I want to say just a few months ago, I was in the building and able to speak to some students over the summer and talk to them a little bit about county government and how it works and encourage them, you know, to move on and go on. And I was so happy to see that the American Red Cross was offering those services to, you know, local students and children in the district. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up the executive director of the American Red Cross in Fairfield, and that would be Mrs. Gilman. May you, Miss Gilman, please come on up and join me. Now, before I call up your colleagues, Ms. Gilman, I am going to read on the record this commendation resolution that I'm going to be giving you. But before I do that, I also want to acknowledge the other folks that are in the room with me. We have the freeholder president, Lonnie Watson, who is joining us, my freeholder clerk, Deborah Davis Ford, and our deputy clerk, Debbie Marble, along with, of course, our support staff, Kathy and Jeff. Thank you guys for being here. So here, whereas March is American Red Cross Month and marks a special time to recognize and thank the heroes who volunteer, donate blood, take life-saving courses, or provide financial donations to support an organization whose mission is to help those in need. And whereas in Essex County, the American Red Cross works tirelessly through its employees and volunteers to help with disaster strikes when someone needs life-saving blood or the comfort of a helping hand. It provides 24-hour support to members of the military, veterans, and their families, and provides training in CPR, aquatics, safety, and first aid. And whereas across the country, the American Red Cross responds to nearly 70,000 disasters a year. It provides some 400,000 services to military members, veterans, and civilians. Furthermore, it collects and distributes about 40% of the nation's blood supply and trains more than 7 million people in first aid, water safety, and other life-saving skills. Whereas our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, blood to fulfill its humanitarian mission. Despite these challenging economic times, the American Red Cross continues to offer help and comfort to those in need. Now therefore be it resolved that the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders hereby proclaims March 2013 as American Red Cross Month, and we encourage all Americans to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. And I'm going to present this to you, and I'm going to call your colleagues up. And before I call them up, let me just put on the record that since I became a freeholder in 2011, we have happened to have some, I want to say, 100-year storms, but we've had a couple of them, and I know that the Red Cross has definitely done their due diligence for the residents of Essex County, and I was able to see some of the shelters that they had set up at West Essex High School and so on and so forth. And I'm just, again, proud to see the good people that are out there volunteering and giving their time. And again, it's a pleasure to be here. So if Ms. Painter and Ms. Spooner could also come up and join us. And at this time, I'm going to turn the microphone over to the Executive Director.
So I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the American Red Cross for Essex County honouring us tonight and honouring March is Red Cross Month. This is a month that's been honoured actually since 1943 when President Roosevelt announced the first March is Red Cross Month, and that's been now 70 years. And it's an honour that the county has honoured us tonight. March is the time when we really honour our everyday heroes. We are over 90% volunteer driven. So when a disaster strikes, whereas it's as large as a superstorm Sandy, or it's the fires that we attend nearly every single day. In the last 2 months, we've actually attended over 80 fires, and many of them have occurred, as my colleagues will tell you, in Essex County as well. We thank the volunteers who come and donate blood. Every 2 minutes, there is a need for a blood transfusion. So that blood is so crucial. But again, without our everyday heroes, we would have people who have a need that would not be fulfilled. Our services to the armed forces, we're there just to thank the military, to let them know that we're there when they're deployed, when they need to come home for a crisis, a family crisis, we're there to bring them back. And we're there also to send supplies over, as well as our life-saving courses that people take. They're our heroes as well. And our community programs that are supported again by our heroes, whether it's books that are created for children who are blind. We do Braille books by our volunteers, community services like Meals on Wheels, and transportation to medical appointments. So all of our everyday heroes are so important to us. And again, our community partners in Essex County, where everybody helps us as well. We could not do this alone. And so thank you again for partnering with us. Thank you for honouring March as Red Cross Month. It's a pleasure to be here.
The meeting is now called to order, but at this time I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. I have a couple of the freeholders, they called and said they're on their way, but we have to open the meeting at 7:30, and I need a motion to adjourn the meeting until, give me 15 minutes, a quarter of 7:45.
I'll move that, Madam President.
Move, second. We have a move and a second, Madam Clerk. Do I need a roll call on that? A roll call.
Freeholder Bobadilla? Yes. Freeholder Gill?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder President Watson?
Yes.
So moved. Meeting will resume again at 7:45.
Will we please stand for the salute to the flag? And Freeholder Bobadilla, will you please lead us in the salute?
United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla. Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Gill.
Here.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Owens.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Sebold, absent. Freeholder President Watson.
Here. Okay, Madam Clerk, I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, then let's go to the public comment session. On agenda items for action only at this time, tonight we will only be voting on resolutions number 8 and 9. So if there's any member of the public who would like to speak or comment on resolutions 8 or 9, please come to the microphone, state your name, affiliation, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And you will be speaking on agenda, at this time, resolutions 8 and 9. Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record show that no one is wishing to speak at this time. Then let's move to members of the public who would like to comment on any issue. On any issue, you can come to the microphone and state your name, address, and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
na's Ana Lilia Mejia. I'm the New Jersey Political Director
Will
for...
you spell your name for us?
Sure. Analilia. Last name Mejia, Mejia.
Very good. And your address, please?
43 Victor Avenue, Glen Ridge, New Jersey.
Okay. Oh, and I mentioned that you have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
in behalf of your group. Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I am the New Jersey Political Director for SEIU 32BJ. We represent about 10,000 workers in New Jersey, 1,000 of which who work in Essex County, including the workers who are employed with All Clean, who maintain and clean all of the buildings for Essex County, all 7 buildings. I am here because I wanted to alert and raise concerns about a request for bids that was put out by the county on March 19th. In this request for bid, unlike ones from that the county has put out previously, it has there's multiple issues that are of concern for both the union and the 40 employees that are impacted by this bid. Essentially, you have, or the county has put out a bid that does not have any standards or any recommendations in terms of minimum wages for these employees. So you've essentially taken 40 living wage jobs that have health care for these workers and their family, most of which who live in Essex County. You've taken those 40 good jobs and turned them essentially into, or potentially into, minimum wage poverty jobs in the county. This bid proposal, or this bid request, also, unlike others in other cities and other counties, have no standards in regards to staffing requirements or any recommendations about how many staff have to be employed in a particular building in order to get the job done effectively. This means that without that information in this bid request, you are, as a consumer, the county is completely unable to actually compare apples to apples in what kind of proposals you get back. So someone could essentially bid and say that they're going to clean all of your buildings with one person, win that bid, pay a poverty wage job, and you've effectively just lowered your standards for yourselves in terms of cleanliness of the buildings, as well as eliminated these jobs. To add just another issue.
Okay, could you please sum up? And
Sure.
if you would like to, at the very end of the meeting, you can always come back, because I open the
So I
mic up
can
to the
actually
public
put
again.
all of these issues in writing to the board.
Okay.
We would like to actually request a meeting with you, Madam
Okay.
President. We also have recommendations on how other counties and other cities have essentially rectified this issue. We have just 4 workers who are present who want to be recognized, who work for at 50 Clinton, as well as Leroy Smith, who are personally going to be impacted by this issue if it isn't rectified by the county with an amended bid, as well as the possibility of maybe an ordinance that the Freeholder Board could put forth to prevent this
okay.
from happening again.
Okay, and I hear your request. We normally will respond to you in writing, but if your request is to meet with myself and maybe representative of the board from a committee level, I'll look into that and we will schedule that meeting.
All righty, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak? None? And you will be able to speak on any issue at this time? Okay, Madam Clerk, let's continue. Are there any ordinances on second reading?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any ordinances on first reading?
Yes, Madam President. The first ordinance, number 1, is ordinance, bond ordinance amending bond ordinance bond ordinance O-2011-00013, finally adopted on October the 26th, 2012 by amending the purpose to include upgrade of elevators in academic megastructure in lieu of waterproofing of exterior masonry walls at Essex County College.
Okay, before we move on, I think the administration have withdrawn number 3.
Yes, I
Okay.
did. Would you like me to read number 2?
No, let's take one at a time.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to ordinance number 1. And Mr. McInerney, do you have any questions at this time?
I do. Could the administration tell us what does this mean to include upgrade of elevators in academic megastructure in lieu of waterproofing? Can you explain that?
Through you, Madam President, I will try my best. When this bond ordinance was appropriated, the college believed that the priority project was to waterproof some of the exterior walls at the megastructure. The megastructure is nothing more than the campus that sits right across the street from us on.
Okay.
Since that time, they've run into some problems with some elevators that are a higher priority in terms of repairs. And what they would like to do is swap out the waterproofing of the exterior walls at this time and entertain the elevator repairs at that same building called the megastructure, which is the main campus across the street. The way it's broken out, initially they had $400,000 allocated for waterproofing. They would like to use that $400,000 toward the elevator project. The balance of the elevator project, about another $175,000, will come from their capital accounts.
Okay, before we continue, Madam Clerk, Freeholder Clark is present. Okay, continue, Mr. McInerney.
So the 400 is the amount that was appropriated for the waterproofing, you're saying?
The $400,000 was part of the $2.5 million appropriation. That is correct.
Okay. And has all the money been expended in the other parts, the bathroom renovations and the smart classrooms?
I'm not certain, but I will verify that for the board for
Okay,
next week.
but the other 175 is not coming from those projects, it's coming from their own general capital fund.
I can answer the first part, Frank. Mr. Acker just informs me that the other projects, part of that $2.5 million, has not been completed either.
Okay, but the 175 is not coming from those other projects?
No,
Okay,
only the $400,000 is.
okay. Okay, we have no problem with that. I have no problem.
Additional questions, freeholders, comments, freeholders on ordinance number 1? Question, comments? None. Okay, Madam Clerk, please list it, and let's move to ordinance number 2. And Mr. Shiella.
Ordinance number 2, refunding bond ordinance providing for the refunding of certain general obligation bonds of the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $50 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $50 million bonds or notes of the county for financing the cost thereof.
Okay, Mr. Shiella, your response,
Yes, Madam President.
explanation on this ordinance.
This is a refunding opportunity, and I would like to have Mr. Acker, our treasurer, address this ordinance before the board.
For the record, please state your name and affiliation.
Certainly, Madam President. Mark Acker, County Treasurer, also Director of Department of Administration and Finance. What the administration is proposing here is a not-to-exceed $50 million refunding bond ordinance, purpose of which is to refund 2 prior bond issues, portions of 2 prior bond issues. $25,915,000 from a 2004 issue and $17,250,000 from a 2005 issue. Collectively, we're looking to retire $43,165,000. The projected savings at this juncture are $2.6 million on a real basis. In financial terms, it's roughly $3 million in net present value savings, or roughly 5.28%. The state has established a not written policy of a minimum of 3%, so we're far in excess of 3% threshold. Again, it would authorize not to exceed $50 million. The reason for the differential between the not to exceed $50 million and the $43,165,000 that would be taken out is we're only projecting what we know at this date. When we sell the bonds in early May, the market conditions will be different. We may have to sell more of the bonds to achieve the savings we want. In any event, by authorizing $50 million, we're taking out $43,165,000, and whatever we end up selling, it's going to be under $50 million. The financial advisors are always conservative, and they try to make sure they have enough leg room in there to warrant, to cover any market conditions that may exist at the time of the selling. But be that as it may, towards the end of the year, we'll be back in front of you saying, hypothetically, we sold $47 million, and we're going to cancel the difference between the 50 and the 43. So it really has no impact as far as the not to exceed amount. We're taking out $43,165,000. Projected real savings are $2.6 million, roughly $300,000 a year out through the year 2022. And again, on a percentage basis, the present value savings are in excess of 5.25%. This is the first time we'll be doing, as a county, a refunding ordinance where we don't have to go to the state. Typically, we have to go to the local finance board and get their approval, but the law was changed to allow an expedited sale to take advantage of the market and not have to take the extra 2 months that it would take to go to the finance board and get their approval. As a result of it, though, after we sell, we'll be required to report to the state exactly what our savings were, that we exceeded the 3% threshold, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a good move. It'll save us a couple months. The market's very good right now. If we had to go to the local finance board, instead of selling in May, it would be more towards July, August. Who knows what happens then, but we'll be able to do it within the next 6 weeks or so.
Mr. McInerney.
Yes, these are basically two general obligation issues that go back to 2004 and 2005 that are going to be refinanced, if you will, in the sense that we'll be selling these bonds and achieving a savings of $2.6 million on a real dollar basis. There's a little bit, I got this afternoon, there's a little bit more involved in this. I'm going to take a better look at it. We've done this many times before, but I'm going to ask the board to go ahead with this and keep this on the agenda, and I'll report back a little bit more in detail at the next meeting. There's issuance cost here of $134,000. I've asked Mr. Acker to get me the detail on what that's for. He gave me the detail of what it's for. I'm looking to see who the vendors are. But again, this looks is going to save us roughly about $300,000 each year for the term of the bonds. There's a premium up front, and I just want to be a little more familiar with that before I finalize my review.
Okay, freeholders, questions, comments? Just a quick question, just for my information. When was the law changed in reference to the local finance board where we don't have to now go to the finance board? I know we did that, was it last year? I don't remember us coming before this board saying the local finance law was changed. So is this the first time that we're going out for bonding since the law was changed?
First time we're doing a refund. The change in the law, Madam President, had to do with refunding bonds.
Okay.
And in '93, the law was changed to allow this to happen, provided the state wrote the rules and regulations. They chose never to write the rules and regulations, so it took until last year, the year before, until they realized that it made sense to do it, when it's just a plain vanilla refinancing, just like, you refinance your mortgage. Nothing sneaky. We're not trying to budgetarily fix things. There's level savings over the course of the bonds. But they wrote the regulations to allow it last year. This is our first refunding afterwards. And if I may, as far as the cost of issuance that Mr. McInerney mentioned, again, as I said earlier, because we don't have to go to the finance board and show them all these issues as far as what our projected cost of issuance is, et cetera, we are required within 10 days after selling the bonds to report to the state several features of what we accomplished. One of them is they want to see the cost of issuance. What professionals, financial advisors, bond counsels, printing companies, the bond rating agencies, Moody's, they're going to get a fee for rating our bonds. They want to see what we are paying to all those professionals, which clearly we will share with Frank and the board after we sell the bonds.
Very good. Okay, Mr. McInerney?
Let me make one other point that Mr. Acker brought up, and it's very important. It's that the savings are uniform throughout the future term of the bond. So, as he pointed out, this is not where we're taking the savings up front and leaving the cost in the future. It is a equal straight line, if you will, allocation of those savings over the future life of the bonds. So what it helps us in 2013 will help us in 2014 at the same amount and on to the end of the term. Very important point.
Very good, thank you. Freeholders, do we have any additional questions, comments? Okay, Madam Clerk, please list it, and let ordinance number 3 withdrawn by the administration, am I correct?
Yes, Madam President.
Okay, then let's move to the resolutions. And Ralph, I think we have resolutions 1 through 6. And for the viewing audience, this is our regular conference meeting where we will vent each and all of the resolutions coming before the board. And this evening, we will not be voting on the entire agenda this evening. So, Ralph, could you just, let's go from 1 through 6. And I know we have some reappointments that it's not required that those individuals come before the board. And we'll read all 6 into the record at a later time, Ralph.
Thank you, Madam President. The first, all 6 are for advice and consent for Essex County Commission on the Aging. The first one, Ms. Annette Romano, is actually filling a vacancy spot. When I get through with the balance of the next 5, I'll ask Ms. Romano to come up and introduce herself to the board. Resolution number 2 is Ms. Harris. Again, advice and consent for the Commission on the Aging. Ms. Harris is a reappointment, followed by Mr. Walter T. Jacobs, another reappointment to the board, followed by Beverly Oliphant, and Ms. Oliphant is Gloria Timely, and finally Linda Washington. All of the reappointments, as well as the appointment of Ms. Romano, their terms will run through September 30th of 2015. And at this time, I'd like to call up to the microphone Ms. Annette Romano to introduce herself to the board.
Very good.
Hi, good evening. My name is Annette Romano. I live in Millburn. I've been on the Local Assistance Board and the Senior Citizen Advisory Board in Millburn for about 10 years, and also previously worked with the Red Cross for about 11 years. I do look forward to working with this committee hoping I can bring some of what we've done in Milburn to the rest of the county and vice versa. So I'd like to thank everyone for the input.
Very good. Thank you. Just stand there in case we have any questions from the freeholders. Freeholder Luciana?
Not a question, but through you, Madam President, I just want to say that I know Mrs. Romano over the last few years and her husband. I think she's an excellent choice to fill the vacancy on this board, and I'm just really happy that the administration looked over her resume and decided to choose her, and I look forward to voting affirmative next week. So thank you for coming and introducing yourself, and good to see you again, Mrs. Romano.
Okay, do we have additional? Yes.
Is it appropriate if I say?
Yes, it is appropriate. Mr.
I just wanted to say, I do know Mrs. Romano from Milburn, and I can tell you, not only is she an active member of that community, but she's a very effective member. Sometimes those two things don't match up, but
Absolutely.
she is out there, not only with the American Red Cross, the local assistance board, but other issues that are very important to the people of Milburn and Short Hills, and I think she's a wonderful addition.
Beautiful, and thank you again for your comments. Additional comments, freeholders, questions? Do you want to, you mentioned the other six, do you want to, we don't have, you could just call them by their names?
Oh,
right?
I did, Madam
You
President.
did
I did
already?
mention their names, yes.
Okay, and I think we have one or two of them present this evening, could they, would you just ask them to
If
stand?
they just want to wave if they're here in the audience.
Yeah, wave your hand, let us know you're here. I think that's Mr. Walter Jacobs. Yes. Okay, let me just thank the individuals who being outstanding members of the commission. We want to thank you for your accepting to serve and your willingness to serve and volunteer on this committee, for it is really an important committee to this board and the county. I look forward to working with all of you again. The reappointments and the new appointee that we will be voting on all of these appointments and reappointments next week. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And again, we ask that you have a good night. Thank you again for your service to Essex County. Okay, well, let's continue, Madam Clerk. Oh, yes, we will list 1 through 6. Let's take Resolution 7.
Resolution 7 is Department of Administration. This resolution is authorizing the issuance of tax anticipation notes for 2013 in the amount of $35 million. Moody's has assigned a MIG-1 rating, which is the highest, and this will allow the county to sell these TANs at the lowest possible cost. I do have Mr. Acker present if the board has any additional questions regarding the sale of these TANs.
Okay, before we ask Mr. Acker to come up, just let me make sure that we have questions. Just stand right there, Mr. Acker, for us. Mr. McInerney, you have any questions at this time?
Just a comment. This is just typical interim financing for the county. Typically, we will borrow money on a short-term basis, anticipating our tax receipts. Additionally, and most importantly, that these TANs are paid off. These TANs are paid off by the end of the year. So it's just a matter of cash flow.
Okay. Freeholders? Questions, comments? Okay. All right, let's continue. Questions, comments, freeholders? If no questions, no comments, and freeholders, we are on Resolution 7. No additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Acker. No questions at this time. Madam Clerk, let's list Resolution 7. And let's go to Resolution 10.
Resolution number 10 is out of the County Administrator's Office. This is for our PMA Management Corporation contract. This is the second-year option the county is exercising in the amount of $135,950. PMA serves as the county's third-party administrator for our workers' compensation claims. Just to give the board some numbers, annually, the county experiences between 400 and 500 workers' comp claims, of which between 40 and 70 include a disability period. By utilizing PMA as our third party, we've been able to achieve in 2011 roughly a 60% savings, and I'm proud to announce that as well in 2012 we've realized a 57% savings. Mr. Delgardi, our risk manager, is here, and at this time I'd call Mr. Delgardi up to the mic. We also have a representative from PMA if the board has any questions for the firm.
Mr. Delgado, you want to come to the mic, please?
Frank Delgadio, County Risk Manager.
Right. Do you want to give some additional comments other than what you just heard from Mr. Scialla?
Sure. This contract is the second-year renewal on a 3-year contract for third-party administration services on our workers' compensation program. The county self-funds its workers' compensation program with excess insurance in place on that. But pretty much we run the program, and you need the assistance of a claims administrator to discuss issues with the employees rather than having county employees do it directly. Also, what PMA does, and does a great job for the county, is the repricing of medical bills. When one of our employees needs to go to a hospital, an emergency room, see a specialist or what have you, we participate in a QualCare network, and that QualCare network has seen great reductions in medical bills over the past 9-year relationship with PMA. QualCare has been in place for about 4 years, I would say now. But last year, as Mr. Chalella noted, 64% savings on bill repricing is a great statistic, and our numbers continue to go down. I mean, even this year, the claim numbers for 2012, we had a total of 208 total claims. In 2011, we had 303. So we're almost down 100 claims, which is an outstanding result. And we have a great team that works on this program, and everyone deserves credit. Our clinic, everybody who works in the clinic, our doctor, who saves us an enormous amount of money treating our county employees in the clinic rather than sending them out for referrals. Over the past 10 years, there's an estimate that medical costs have gone up over 100% in a 10-year period. Every year, our savings, we're averaging now over the last 3 years about a 20% savings in medical costs. So we're going against what the averages are.
Okay, Mr. McInerney.
Yes, Mr. Delguardio, could you provide the board with the last 5 years, if you would, of the number of claims and the dollar amount associated with those claims, so we could see the pattern here. I mean, this PMA has been with us forever, and the bottom line is some of the efficiencies of this program is, as was indicated, we are using a doctor from our hospital to review these claims, so it's not an outside party that may not be as diligent. So that has been something that has been a great benefit to this program and keeping these costs from getting out of hand. So, but I would like to see those numbers. By the way, talk about fast.
That was fast.
That's great stuff. So, okay. So we've come down quite a bit.
When we say that quite a bit, what are we?
Well, if I look at what was, I'm going to go with what was total paid. I mean, the paid and the reserved are, I should go by incurred. Is incurred being paid?
Incurred is everything. Excuse me, Justin Wilkinson from
Place your
PMA.
name on the record again for me. And
Justin Wilkinson from PMA Management Board. Those figures there are on a policy year basis. The incurred is everything we've paid out to date for losses that occurred during that year, plus what's still set aside and reserved for that year.
When you say set aside, is there a reason why we're setting aside? Well, yeah, give me the reason why we're setting aside money still for 2008. Are there still claims outstanding from 2008?
There are still claims that are still outstanding, either open in litigation There's a 2-year statute of limitations where people can reopen their claims and seek additional benefits. The county actually has claims open back to the mid to late 70s for employees who were injured at that time and are receiving lifetime benefits. So, yes, we continue to manage those claims, continue to control the cost moving forward, but there are a number of claims open from those years.
Well, the claims that go beyond 2,000 a year that aren't indicated here, are there reserves set up for that, or are these just the reserves
No,
for the
those are
last
just the
5 years?
reserves from the last 5 policy years.
So there are reserves that go back further than this. Now, I'm assuming these reserves are booked in our current fund as a reserve. I'm going to assume they are some sort of reserve that's set aside for workers' comp. So is this monies that, these reserves that are held by you, or are these
No.
reserves held by the county?
The PMA doesn't hold any funds for the county. It's just-
Okay. So we went from $1,149,000 to down in 2009 to $1 million. It went up to $1,500,000. It went, I mean, it
again,
went
those-
up to $1,600,000, and then this year it went down to a little bit more than $1 million. But, I mean, all that's relevant. The total numbers, the total dollars are relevant only if you look at the claims. So we had the lowest claims in the 2012, 2013 year.
2012 is a phenomenal year for loss prevention efforts, yes.
So it was down 600,000 from the prior year.
And if you were to look back historically to the mid to late 90s, you would see they were consistently over 500 claims a year, sometimes as many as close to 700 claims in a year.
Right.
The fact that there were only 200
Which years
last
are
year.
you talking about?
96, 97.
We sold bonds to cover workers' comp. You know, at one point in time, it got so big, we had to go out to the market to sell bonds and get approval for that. But these reserves are, do these flush out? I mean, these are definitely, how do you figure out an amount of money that has to stay in reserves?
We will reserve each individual file based on what we know about the claim at the time.
Right.
So if somebody gets hurt today, we will set up a reserve for the medical treatment that we expect them to need, for any time that they miss from work to replace their wages. If the case goes into litigation, any permanency that they may be awarded, and any expenses that may be involved with defending that case.
So it's basically an estimate, but
Correct.
but one done with a lot of professionalism. Can you give me the list as far back as it goes of the
Absolutely.
reserves that we have?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, freeholders, additional questions, comments? Michael, you have any questions? Okay. Additional questions, comments? Freeholder Clark.
Yeah,
you were speaking rather quickly and primarily to Mr. McInerney, so a lot of what you were saying actually was lost to me because it really didn't come across.
I apologize.
No, I mean, and I didn't want to stop the conversation, but the truth of the matter is I didn't catch all of it.
Okay.
Just for my edification, you're going to administer, investigate, and adjust workers' compensation claims. And approximately, how much does that add up to annually for Essex County?
On an annual basis, over the course of the last 5 years, the county has been averaging 250 to 300 claims each year.
250 to 300 claims per year?
Correct. And like I said, there are claims open back as far as the mid-70s, a few, not many, obviously, from those years. But the total number of open claims, if I were to estimate, would say probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 to 300 open lost time files, which is any file with an indemnity exposure, either for lost wages or some type of permanency.
Okay. You are there to make sure that the county's interests are protected. In other words, that we're not paying out claims that we shouldn't be paying out, and that we're not paying more than we should be.
Correct.
What are we averaging in terms of what we are paying out?
On an individual claim basis?
No, an aggregate.
An aggregate. I believe the total the amount the county pays on an annual basis is somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 to $2 million for its workers' compensation program. And again, that's for losses from the current year, as well as payments being made on losses from past years that are still open. and that number's down significantly from where it was, again, back in the 90s when it was $4.5 to $5 million a year.
Are you keeping up with subrogation?
Yes. I can tell you,
Are we claiming anything via subrogation?
since 1996, PMA has brought back in over $1.7 million in subrogation back into the program, and over $2.3 million in excess recoveries. The county has excess insurance for catastrophic type losses, where we will pursue that and get that reimbursement back for you.
So that would actually be a savings for us.
Correct.
And now, are you saying you're able to get that annually? Or
No.
that's in the aggregate since you've been
Since
doing it?
1996, we brought a total of about $4 million back into the program.
Since 96?
Correct.
What would you say you brought back last year?
Unfortunately, the numbers that I have here are aggregated, but I would guess probably on subrogation alone, probably $60,000 to $70,000 last year. I can get the exact numbers for you if you'd like.
Okay. Do you have anything to do with the panel of doctors?
We partner with the QualCare Network.
Excuse me?
We partner with the QualCare Network in New Jersey. They put together a PPO panel that we use for specialists in just about every specialty that we use for workers' compensation. The majority of the treatment here at the county, as Frank had mentioned, takes place over at the employee clinic with Dr. Rambaran. Other county governments that we work with have to outsource that, and were the county doing that, I would estimate that your annual costs on the medical side would probably be double what they are now. We use the county as a model program for other counties in New Jersey and other states that we work with to show them the best possible way to run things in terms of controlling the cost.
Because we're not outsourcing it.
Correct.
Does our panel include African American doctors?
That I don't know. I don't know any of the doctors who do the actual treatment of Nerman, other than Dr. Rambaran.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Freeholders, additional questions? Just one question. This is a second-year option, right, Ralph?
That is correct, Madam President.
Okay, so what did we spend this past year so far? Did we spend
The first year of the contract, we spent $139,950, I believe.
Okay, so we did exceed the, did we exceed the dollar amount that we voted on last year?
Actually, Madam President, our contract rate for the 3-year period is reduced $5,000 in each of the 3 years. We're able to close more claims over the course of a year than the county is reporting, and as a result, our overall pendings have been able to be reduced so we can lower our fee each year.
Okay, so let me, I'm just trying to understand, when this is a second-year option, so the contract went into effect last year? Am I correct, Ralph?
That is correct. Last year's was $139,950. This year, it's $135,950.
Okay, and the original contract, was 200, and I'm not counting in my head. What was the total of the original contract last year that we signed, that we approved?
Last year's contract, again, was $139,950.
So we approved.
This contract is a reduction from last year, as the representative had indicated.
Okay.
Each of the 3 years on their proposal, there's a reduction in each year going forward.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand, when we voted on it last year, I know we voted for the 136 or 37 last year, did we? What I'm trying to understand, when we voted on this contract last year, did we vote on the total contract where we have a second-year option and then we broke it out, or did we vote on a total dollar amount for the contract last year? How did we vote on the last year contract?
We voted just on the 1 year with options
With option to
available
renew, okay.
to the governing body and the administration.
That's what I'm trying
The
to-
administration is exercising the option in the second year.
Okay, and that's why you're coming back with 135?
That is correct.
Are you sure that we won't go over the 135 this year?
Yes.
We went over last year.
I can't speak for PMA, but I don't believe in the previous years that we've had a contract, have we ever exceeded.
Did we exceed last year? That's what I'm trying to remember.
No.
I'm trying to get on the record. So we did not exceed last year's contract. And this year, we're asking for 135.
Actually, reduction,
Okay.
that is correct.
Okay, and it's a reduction, and this is the second-year option that you have before the board this evening.
That is correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand where we're going with this. Okay, I have no further questions. Freeholder, additional questions, comments? Okay, Madam Clerk, we'll list Resolution 10.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Okay, let's go back to Resolution 8, Madam Clerk, and will you read that into the record?
Resolution 8, Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Management and Budget Emergency to the 2013 Temporary Appropriation, 2-month extension, April through to May.
Okay, Ralph, you want to explain this resolution?
Yes, Madam President. We are simply just requesting a 2-month extension for the months of April and May in our budget, in the event that, I know the board had actually introduced it last meeting, but Mr. Acker's here just so that we have ample time in requesting this 2-month extension.
Okay. Mr. McInerney?
Yes, this is just an extension of the ability to authorize additional appropriations for a 2-month period of time. They're basically the appropriations that would normally be paid during the course of these months, April and May, whether we need May or not, since we're going to hopefully adopt the budget soon. But it's safe to say that there's nothing here except for, I think, the pension payments are due April, so I think we fully funded those. But outside of that, it's just the ability to authorize the county to continue to pay its bills for those 2 months before the adoption of the budget.
Very good. Okay, freeholders, questions, comments on Resolution 8? I need you to read that into the record. Okay, all right, additional question, comments, freeholders? No additional questions, comments? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Clark.
Yes.
Did we get a motion on that? We didn't move
Oh.
it. I'm sorry. I need a mover and a second. I need a mover, freeholders.
So moved, yes.
Moved by Freeholder Owens. Do I have a second? Second by Freeholder Bobadilla. Now, let me go back and ask for additional questions, comments.
I
If none,
apologize, Madam President, I should have
if
thought that.
none, roll call.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Clark.
Yes.
Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Sebo, absent. Freeholder President Watson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, let's go to Resolution 9. Read it into the record, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 9, County of Essex Professional Services regarding K. Honovian Companies Northeast Incorporated versus County of Essex and Essex County Improvement Authority at Isle de Coitus, Fitzpatrick and Cole, January 1st, 2013 to December 31st, 2013, amount not to exceed $80,000.
Okay, Mr. Ralph, you want to explain this resolution and tell us why you requesting action?
Yes, Madam President. As this board had approved the legal contracts, I believe at our last meeting, this is another legal contract. This is for ongoing litigation matters involving the Hilltop Parcel 5. This law firm has defended this case with the county for many years regarding K. Hovenian and Companies, and this contract is for the calendar year 2013, amount not to exceed $80,000. Defendants in this case are the County of Essex as well as the Essex County Improvement Authority.
Okay. Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
No questions? Freeholders?
Yes, Madam President.
Freeholder Luciana?
I see that Councilor Paganelli is present. If through you, if you don't mind, Councilor. Just a couple of quick questions. This case, Councilor, how many years has this been going on?
I believe this matter, Madam President, through you, James Spaganelli from the Office of County Counsel, I think the matter was initiated in 2008. And just for the record, although the county administrator has indicated that the Improvement Authority is the defendant in this matter, the Dakota's law firm is only representing the county. The Improvement Authority has its own counsel in this matter.
Okay. Continue.
Again,
Freeholder.
I know this is a legal matter, Counselor. Just, how can I say this on the record? Is this case close to any kind of settlement? I know the parcel that we're talking about, and I know it's been about 5 years. I mean, are we looking at something? The only reason I say so is because the more we incur legal fees, you know, sometimes less might be more here. If I don't know, any updates, anything that you can give us on the record since you're here?
Sure. As the board may recall, this matter was initially successfully argued by the county at a motion. That was appealed, so that took time for the appellate division to finally get it. We argued in front of the appellate division. That took time. The appellate division then returned it back to us for further proceedings. Since that time, we have engaged in a lot of discovery, which is really more documentary than anything else. During the course of this litigation, there have been discussions about settlement, primarily with K-Hovnanian and the host municipality, Cedar Grove. At times, we think that they may come to us with what they would like to see done up there, only for that to fall apart. So we have been working diligently, more of late than early, to try to get this thing ready for further motion practice or a trial if that's where we stand. We anticipate this year you'll have multiple depositions and then motion practice at the end of this year.
Madam President, is K. Hovnanian also in litigation with the municipality of Cedar Grove?
K. Hovnanian initiated litigation against the Township of Cedar Grove in terms of a COA housing case, a Council on Affordable Housing case. It's also has filed a use variance on one of the parcels it previously acquired from the county or from the Improvement Authority. I think the COA matter was sent back to COA, even though I think for most of us COA is non-existent right now, but that's the matter was remanded to COA for further proceedings, and the use variance I think is proceeding. I don't think there's any litigation on that yet.
Thank you for the update, Counselor, and being here tonight. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholders, additional questions, comments? Mr. Polybecker?
Paganelli did it all.
No further questions? I need a motion, Freeholders, and a second.
I'll move it, Madam President.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Freeholder Gill. No further discussion, comments, Freeholders? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla. Yes. Freeholder Clark. Yes. Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Seabold, absent. Freeholder President Watson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, let's move to Resolution 11.
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes, out of the Office of the County Administrator, this is a contract with Princeton Public Affairs Group to provide consulting services to represent the County of Essex and its relationships with the state of New Jersey. This is a one-year agreement, amount not to exceed $30,000. This was publicly advertised, this RFP. We did have 2 responses from 85 firms who reviewed and viewed the RFP through our purchasing portal. Princeton Public Affairs received the highest score, and they've been providing this service to the county for a number of years, and the county's been very pleased with their successful track record in identifying opportunities for funding to bring back to Essex County, as well as opportunities where there would be a hindrance to the county if such legislation were to be moved in Trenton. We do have Mr. Pasquale in the audience with us this evening, if the board has any questions for Mr. Pasquale.
Okay, very good. Freeholders? Questions? Comments? I've been on the board for a while, and I know we've been using Princeton Public Affairs for a while, and I think in leadership, I did ask the question along with Freeholder Seabold. We just wanted to know, how are we benefiting from Princeton Public Affairs? How do the county benefit from having the consultant service with them? You want to put that on the record?
I could also address that and also have Mr. Pascal address it as well.
Okay.
There are many opportunities for the county to receive grant dollars or funding opportunities through initiatives, either through the federal government that are filtered down to the state or directly from the state to the county. Those opportunities are brought to us. There is a direct dialogue. They are quickly acted upon. As you know, our success record in achieving grants at the state has been very successful in the years that the administration, Mr. DiVincenzo, has been here. As well as I pointed out to leadership, there are other opportunities where there are pieces of legislation that may not be favorable to county government and or Essex County. And many times those initiatives are not on our front burners. They are put before us by Princeton Public Affairs so that we can dive into them, look into the matters, and hopefully avoid some of the legislation that may be harmful and costly to the residents of the County of Essex.
Very good. Let's have Mr. Pasquale to come to the mic and just give the board, and thank you, Ralph. The explanation was good and exactly how we discussed it in leadership, but just let's hear from Mr. Pasquale.
Excuse
Put your
me.
name on the record, please.
Yes, Madam President. William J. Pasquale III. I'm a principal with Princeton Public Affairs Group. Through you, Madam President, it's been an honor to represent the County of Passaic my entire time with Princeton Public Affairs Group, save 2 years. It was the transitional year between the DiVincenzo administration and the prior administration. What did I say? Passaic? That's a major faux pas. Am I in Essex? Madam President, the County of Essex. We had a lapse for a year between the prior administration in Essex County and the DiVincenzo administration. I know that my fellow county council will rip me for that faux pas. And most recently, the last year, we were not under contract, but we continued to provide the services. I don't like to use the word pro bono because we're not a law firm, although I am a member of the bar. But we have a good working relationship with this administration and with many of the freeholders. If I can, just maybe briefly talk to you about some legislation which I think certainly the administration is aware of, but perhaps some of the freeholders might be interested in. First of all, we're continuing to work with the DiVincenzo administration on the county aid allocation under the Transportation Trust Fund, which, as you know, the federal requirements have not inured to county government's benefits. And so we're working with the State Department of Transportation to ensure that Essex and all the counties are considered as the budgetary process unfolds under the TTF. There is a bill most recently introduced by the Senate President, S-1694, which is, I think, an important bill that the County of Essex could take advantage of, which allows county governments, if passed, to share county tax administrators. Under current law, every county must have a tax administrator. This would allow counties to share and work cooperatively, which I think would benefit us because the County of Essex has a very reputable county tax administrator. There's also A3725, which is a law which is making its way, or legislation making its way through the process, which would allow county governments to publish ordinances, notice of ordinances and amendments in a summary fashion, which would save significant dollars. As you know, you have to publish the full ordinance or the full amendatory language at a considerable cost to the county. So we're working on that not only with the administration but also with NJAC. And then finally, one last bill, and I'm happy to answer any other questions that may arise. Two last bills. S-1400, which your county council would be immensely burdened with if passed, which would require every county government to issue reports to the Division of Local Government Services on all lawsuits filed. We don't see the wisdom of it. It's an additional burden on the county council's office, and they should be focused on what they do best, which is keeping costs down in litigation, not adding to them. And then finally, Madam President, through you to the board, I think a bill which perhaps may provide a dilemma for all of us. We certainly want to encourage voting. There's an early voting bill which is S-2364 and A-3553. That bill would allow early voting, would mandate early voting 15 days prior to an election. Seemingly a good piece of legislation. The problem with the bill is that we believe it's in contravention of state mandate, state pay, because there is no funding for this bill. And in year one, if the bill were to become law in fiscal year 2014, it would cost county governments across the state $46 million. And we all know what Essex's share of that $46 million would be proportionally, which would be devastating to our budget. So those are some of the hot items we're working on, in addition to a myriad of other bills.
Very good. Freeholders, while do we have Mr. Pasquale at the mic, do you have any additional questions? Freeholder Clark?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
The last one you talked about, we talked about it in budget hearings as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Commissioner of Superintendent of Elections, Commissioner of Registration, said the same thing that you were saying, that it would, not only is it going to cost, but it's going to be, I think, she was saying, an administrative nightmare because of the number of people. I think that you're going to have, people are going to be like really worked overtime because of that. But I have a philosophy when it comes to voting, and I've always had it ever since I've been here. Ever since we moved from the old machines to these current machines, I've had issues and questions and reservations about the integrity of the process. And so voting by absentee ballot or paper ballot is one way that you can be sure that you could have some verification of your vote. Because the way the system is set up now, there is no way to recount. There is nothing to verify that a person voted the way they voted. And I'm disappointed that the voter verified paper BPAP legislation that passed some time ago has never ever been put into effect, that the machines have never been retrofitted to include it. We were lied to as a governing body when we were told that those machines could be retrofitted. There's some of us who are sitting here that remember that. We were told, oh yes, we'll be able to retrofit the machines to include that. Never happened. And now we're talking about early voting. So are we talking about early voting by paper? Are we talking about early voting on the machines? What are we talking about in terms of the early vote? If I would encourage people, if they're going to vote early, vote absentee. And then you can do that anyway. That's, I mean, we all, technically speaking, if people understood how to do it, you can vote early now. You don't have to wait till election day. You could ask for, you could send in your request for an absentee ballot right now. Let's take the June primary, which I know a little something about. Got to file your candidacy on April 1st. On April 12th, they pick the line. Or pick the lines that people will go on. From that point forward, you can start asking for your absentee ballot because you already know people's ballot position after April 12th. So, I mean, technically speaking, people can vote early right now if they choose to. They can vote absentee. But I'm not going to say I'm against it, and I'm not going to say I'm gung-ho for it, because I'm not really sure what the early voting, what it's all going to be. Because as far as I'm concerned, the devil's in the details.
Madam President?
Okay, you're right. I just don't want us to get away from the agenda. We are voting, we are listening to you in reference to you providing consultant services. And I think, I know you're passionate when it comes to voting Freeholder Clark, but I just don't want us to get away from the agenda. The agenda, he was just letting us know what's in Trenton. So it's good that he was able to give us that information up front. So I hear you, and I hear your passion on that, but I don't think it's necessary to go back and respond at this time, because I'm sure we will be reviewing the bill. It didn't even get to the committee yet, right?
Yeah, it's working its way through the process, Madam President.
It's in the process.
Madam President?
Yes. Freeholder Owens?
Yes. I have one simple question. The amount you gave, what was the amount you gave for it would cost?
In year one, Freeholder, through you, Madam President, $40.6 million. $46 million in year one. In other words, fiscal year 2014.
Is that a one-time cost? It would it cost that same thing again?
I was afraid this question was going to be asked, but I did prepare for it, Madam President, through you. In year 2015 and 16, for some reason, and I don't have the answer, it goes down to $20.4 million in those years. Still substantial when you look at Essex County's pro rata share. So it is not a one-time cost, it's a recurring cost because of personnel and how expansive the ballot is, how many elections there are, so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's get back to Resolution 11. Princeton Public Affairs Group before us to provide consultant services. And we thank you for the information you gave us, because now we can keep the radar on those ordinances that you just brought to our attention. Freeholder Clark.
No, I just want to say that thank you for the services that you're providing. Thank you for keeping up with that legislation for us. It's something that we need. It's a service that we need. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. And I did say ordinance, I meant to say legislation. We are on the same path tonight, huh?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Additional questions, comments? Freeholder Gill?
I did. Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to put on the record the reports that I've received from Princeton Public Affairs this year. So my first year on the board, I've found to be extremely helpful in terms of my own responsibilities here as a member of this body. I would, though, like to just raise two issues, if I may, Madam President. One in particular to this bill, not to get into the specifics of this bill, but all 5 of the municipalities in my district are monitoring this piece of legislation very closely. They have both concerns that there's not only concerns on the county level, but also on the municipal level. So through you, Madam President, if we could, be updated regularly on the progress of this bill, I would, greatly appreciate it. And maybe if it's helpful for the other members of the board to get the breakout, what this would mean across all the municipalities in the county, not only the county costs, but the other costs that are going to be absorbed by the municipalities in this bill, I think would be helpful. And also, finally, if we, the updates that come through the office, those could also be shared on, I think they are on a regular basis. I think they come to the county, county executive's office currently, just in terms of process, and then they're forwarded to the clerk, the updates that we get?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure we can continue that, and if there's additional opportunities also for us to be helpful in representing our case in Trenton, I wanted Princeton Public Affairs to know that. Please, I have interest in that as well, so please do not hesitate to let me know, whatever I can do to help the administration in representing our case in Trenton.
Very good. And I'm sure we will, at a later time, send a letter of support to our legislators to let them know that this is a piece of legislation we would like to make sure that is passed. Okay? No further questions. Thank you again.
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, we'll list Resolution 11, and let's move to 12. Ralph, you want to explain Resolution 12?
Yes, Madam President. 12 is the Administration and Finance. We are requesting a resolution that the county participate in the Essex Hudson Regional Energy Procurement Competitive Program again. As you know, last year we had 36 members as part of the energy procurement process. Many of the Hudson County towns. In your packet, you'll see a summary of the 36 entities that participated. I'm pleased to announce that this year we've added 3 additional partners to the program, the City of Orange, the West Orange Public Library, and the Paper Mill Playhouse in Millburn. In your packet, you'll see the savings for each entity or municipality, but just to highlight the success of the program, last year, on average, there was a 23% savings on energy bills for those participating, either municipalities or entities. Some municipalities received much higher. One, in fact, received about 43%, and I think the lowest savings was somewhere around 13%. But in the aggregate, on the average, 23% net savings on their energy bills, and we're looking forward to moving this program again this year.
Thank you. Frank, do you have any questions, Mr. McInerney?
Not on this, no.
None? Okay, freeholders, do we have any questions on Resolution 12? Freeholder Bobadilla?
Ralph, thank you for highlighting this program again, and I see it as very successful as far as cost savings. Now, you've mentioned not only municipalities but entities. Can you highlight to us or send a memo to the freeholder board as to how these entities can join the program? Because I do have a couple entities that are willing to look at it.
Absolutely. We will. I don't know if that window is closed, but traditionally what we have asked the governing bodies, or if it's a public library, their boards, to actually provide a resolution signing on to the program. But we will get you all the information that's required to come onto the program.
Schools and academic entities?
Unfortunately, schools are involved in another energy aggregation program. The schools in New Jersey have their own program, and that is why you will not see any school districts in our program.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Additional questions, comments, freeholders? None? Madam Clerk, we'll list Resolution 12. And Ralph, let's go to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, all from Public Works. We'll start with 13, Ralph.
13 is a contract from Public Works to Top Line Construction, the lowest responsible bidder, to resurface Turtleback Zoo parking lot, as well as Branchwood Park Road. This is a 30-day contract, amount not to exceed $840,488.05. We did receive 16 bids, 17 from our portals, out of 20 that potentially viewed it. This is funded out of our capital. This work includes milling, paving, line striping, parking stalls, signs, and drainage improvements at both the zoo parking lot as well as the Branchwood Park Road. Resolution 14, Public Works contract with Shawger Properties, the lowest responsible bidder, to provide for the restoration of the golf cart paths at our 3 county golf courses. This is a 60-day contract, amount not to exceed $388,464. As you know, we've begun this process of cart restoration last year, and our aim is by next year to have all of the cart paths at all 3 courses that were completed. By doing so, the revenue, we realized some additional revenue this past year. In inclement weather, traditionally the golf course managers and superintendents will not allow golf carts onto the course because it would create a damage to the course turf itself. By us redoing our cart paths and extending some cart paths, we're able to allow cart paths out on inclement days, thereby deriving some additional revenue, as well as a much more enjoyable experience for our golfers. Resolution 15, Department of Public Works, contract with Dell Tech, the lowest responsible bidder for the rehabilitation of Kipps Castle. This is a 300 calendar day contract, $1,432,850. The scope of work includes ADA accessibility ramps, ADA bathrooms, rehab and replacement of windows, new leaders and gutters, as well as a new roof. I should point out, Madam President, that we do have representatives from Dell Tech, Shawger, and Topline.
Okay. Okay, let's start with questions, comments, freeholders on Resolution 13. 14. Do you have any questions? Mr. McInerney?
Yes.
Are we on 13, Mr. McInerney? I'm sorry.
Well,
you want to go to 14?
I have a comment on all of them.
Okay,
Right,
very good.
All right, just give me 2 seconds here to check something out. Okay, these contracts are going to be paid out of our general capital fund. So we're looking at, and I have been getting that accounting that I requested every month. I have it at the office, as a matter of fact, the office here. What I look at here, I see is a very significant amount. I mean, we're talking about 840, say 390, okay, so that's 13, that's 1230, and another $1.4 million. So we're looking at 2.6, $2.7 million of what was allocated in one amount for the improvement to parks. So we really need to look to see how much of this is encumbering on that and get some idea of what other future projects that you had in mind. I mean, there's general restoration that has to be done within the parks, and you know, this is a considerable amount of that allocation. I don't know what that allocation is of the. It's not 20, but we did less than that, I think, but because of the college bonds. But we went out, we did all of our kind of an umbrella authorization. You have to come back to us for the contracts. You already have the authorization to spend, you just need authorization to get approval for the contract. So what we need to know, and I'll find out, is, unless you know that now, what amount did we allocate to parks in the capital budget as a whole? And I don't have the answer either, Ralph, so
Through you, Madam President, we'll supply that list, all encompassing, I think it was 18.5 was the total capital request. Parks was a significant number of that. We will break down not only where these dollars are attributed to, but also the projected projects for year end, where they're attributed. Public Works is a large chunk of that money for basically roads, bridges, and those kind of infrastructures or buildings. But specifically for these projects, as well as future projects, we'll provide that analysis from Mr.
Well,
McInerney.
okay, and again, I said parks, but some of this is Gibbs Castle's Public Works. So, we just want to keep track of, since we did give you the blanket authorization on the authorization side on the bonds, we want to just keep abreast of where we stand.
And Madam President, we discussed this at leadership
Yes, we
as
did.
well.
That was my question in leadership.
The reason why we are coming today with 3 of these contracts, there is a time period of when we introduced a bond ordinance, when we have second reading. There's an stop period of that. We've exhausted that period. We're about that time where we can now actually authorize the contracts against that. That is why we are bringing it to you now. And many of these projects, we'd like to get them done in a timely fashion. You'll see that some of these are 30, 60 days, with the exception of Gibbs Castle. That's 300 days. But this is the earliest we could bring these contracts to the board since the introduction of the capital ordinance.
Madam President,
Yes, Freeholder Owens?
what is the value, of the Gibbs Castle? When he spent $1.4 million in fixing it, what is its value?
Through you, Madam President.
Yes.
I'll get you what the value was when we acquired it. I don't know if we have a
It was $5
current
million.
assessment, but we'll provide the actual purchase price for that property.
Yes, Mr. McInerney?
The actual, we believe, we paid $5 million for Gibbs Castle. But what the freeholder's point is we just got to see a cost benefit to this. In other words, we're expending another $1 million for, the revenues that we've seen on Gibbs Castle have been extremely light in terms of it being a revenue generator. Now, I'm not saying it's exclusively got to be a revenue generator. Our parks are not improved for the purpose of solely generating revenues. But that said, I think showing us what has been collected at this point for affairs that have been conducted at Gibbs Castle, what the intended use of these improvements are, and how that's going to enhance future revenues and future use, whether it's revenue generating or not. So we need a little bit more to this on $1.4 million. I think the freeholder hits a good point here.
We'll provide that, but as our other facilities in the park system, many of them are open space, and they're not really revenue-generating basis parks. They're open spaces for relaxation and events. With this particular activity, we had to turn down some very nice events because of the ADA accessibility and the bathroom requirements. Obviously, that is not going to be the full story in terms of generating $1 million a year in rental space, but we'll provide that analysis for the board that Frank had requested.
Okay, freeholders, additional questions, comments? Freeholder Clark?
Who is Deltec?
Through you, Madam President, we will ask the representative from Deltec to come before us.
Good evening. My name is Eric Bakula. Here on behalf of Deltec, general contractor from Trenton, New Jersey, pretty much specializing in historic restoration projects.
Specializing in restoration projects?
Historic restoration.
Historic restoration. You have basically bricklayers, carpenter, roofer, and a couple of laborers. And no minorities, correct?
Our company is pretty much owned by Eastern Europeans, so that would be pretty much...
Your company's owned by?
Pretty much owned by Eastern Europeans. Most of our workforce is Eastern European. We hire on needed basis for going from project to project.
Have you ever done any work in Essex County before?
Yes, last year we played Park Golf Course.
Pardon?
Last year we played Park Golf Course edition for our First Tee Learning Center.
The golf course?
Yes, First Tee Learning Center.
Through you, Madam President, it's the First Tee addition at the Weequahic Park Clubhouse. Drill was the contractor that put the addition on for the First Tee Learning Center.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ralph, just for the record, how many bids do we have on this particular?
Through you, Madam President, there were 12 potential bidders from the portal. 10 bids were actually received, and Drill was the lowest responsible.
You mean Deltec?
I'm sorry, what did I say, Drill? Deltec. I need new
Join me.
glasses. Deltec, Madam President.
Yeah, that was forsaken. Okay, could you ask the vendor to come back to the mic? I just have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
How long have you been in business?
Since March 98.
Since 98?
Yes.
And you're located?
Trenton, New Jersey. 930 New York Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Freeholder Gill?
Thank you, Madam President. Just more of a comment, and just to reiterate what's already been said, this location is located in my district, so I have particular interest in the work that's being done there, but also, as Mr. McInerney stated, really some type of cost-benefit analysis, I think, would be in order. There's no question that the amount that's being spent here jumps off the page at you, and I don't want in any way say that work is not needed, but in terms of the longer-term prognosis, I'd be comfortable if I had some additional documentation from the administration about what we expect both to do here, what we expect to use the facility for, in terms of a long-range plan, and then, of course, if we're going to, I know this falls far below the threshold for a PLA that we have here at the county, but I would very much like to see if we're going to have a $1.4 million project, some of that work to be labor in union, as well. So, just a comment. We'll take a wait and see approach until we get more information from the administration on this particular contract.
Very good. Freeholders, additional questions, comments? Thank you again, sir, for appearing before the board. Let's go to the next 16 round.
16 is a consenting resolution from the Borough of Caldwell designating the location of a bus stop. They would like to add a bus stop along Bloomfield Avenue and Ryerson Avenue on the eastbound side, as well as on Bloomfield Avenue and Parsonage Street on the westbound side. And they would like to delete or remove a bus stop on the east side of Bloomfield Avenue and Ryerson Avenue. And this has been requested by the borough, and all costs associated will be bared by the New Jersey Transit.
Continue.
Resolution 17 is another consenting resolution, again from the Borough of Caldwell. They're requesting the installation of a bus shelter at a new bus stop location. This is at the Ryerson Avenue bus stop, and this will be the cost will be associated and picked up by New Jersey Transit.
Continue.
Resolution 18, Public Works, resolution consenting to the proposed water quality management amendment entitled Essex County Wastewater Management Plan, Northeast Water Quality Management Plan. In 2008, the DEP adopted changes to the plan, and this will actually require the county to assign responsibilities as well as a development of a plan for wastewater quality. Resolution 19 is Public Works contract with F&S Tire Corporation to furnish and deliver specialty tires as well as tire repair services, a one-year agreement, amount not to exceed $60,000. These tires are for trucks, backhoes, loaders, and trailers, and this is a open-ended, as-needed contract.
Freeholders, let's go to Resolution 13 for question and comments.
16.
I'm just going back to make sure we don't have any questions. Okay. Question, comments on 13. Again, McInerney, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. None on those.
Freeholders, none. Let's go to 14. Question, comments. Are we going to 15? Question, comments. 16. 17. Freeholder Clark. And Freeholder Clark, are you questioning 16 or 17?
16 and 17, because they're basically both the same.
Very good.
I know, because I used to work at New Jersey Transit, I mean, I realized the connection between the county and NJT and the municipality. It's a linkage there. Mr. Levesque and I used to talk about it. I am at a loss right this minute, Madam President. I hate to admit it, but I think I'm having a senior moment. Someone asked me about a bus stop, and it's in my district. So it's either in East Orange, South Orange, or somewhere in the central or the west, or the central or west ward of Newark. No, and the reason I'm asking is because usually when you package these together, you kind of send them all together to NJ Transit, so that they're going to consider bus shelters throughout various vicinities, and then they work out the memorandums of agreement with the various municipalities, because the municipality has to agree to actually maintain the shelter. Oh boy. Well, I'm simply being honest. I actually did forget, but I'm gonna go back into my notes, because I took some notes on it, on exactly which municipality it was where someone asked for a bus shelter. But if we could, that's something that's probably overlooked a lot by us, and we probably don't think about it that much, but it's something that we might want to consider. And that is looking at places throughout Essex County where you have heavy traffic at bus stops, that there's no shelter, because it's kind of disheartening to see people standing out there with children, and either older people, people who are tired coming home from work, or even kids coming home from school, and they have to brave the elements. They don't have a shelter. Where possible, if we could encourage more shelters and encourage more memorandums of agreement between New Jersey Transit and the municipality to keep them up, that would be really good.
Okay. Additional questions, comments, and we are on Resolution 17, 18. Questions, comments? Mr. Mr. McInerney, no comments on 18, right?
No comments.
Okay, let's go to 19. Question, comments, freeholders? No additional questions. So, Madam Clerk, let's list 13 through 19. And wrap, we'll go to resolutions 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24, all temporary emergency appropriations.
20, again, is a appropriation from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. This is for construction work on South Orange Avenue and Glenview Road, the intersection, $317,274. Again, it's for the traffic signal installation, which will include LED traffic signal, pedestrian signals for creating higher visibility for crossing patrons, construction of handicap ramps to meet the current ADA requirements, as well as the installation of a pedestrian crosswalk with pedestrian countdown signal heads. Resolution 21, an appropriation from the Department of Transportation, $5,427,200. This is our county's annual allocation from the Department of Transportation. There is a list of projects included in your packets, and it's primarily for bridge preservations, resurfacing of roads, roadway safety, and parking projects. Resolution 22, an appropriation from the United States Department of Justice. This is for $7,144, and this is for the bullet vest replacement program. This is being funded out of the federal government, and these are for our correction officers. Resolution 23, an appropriation from the state of New Jersey, Department of Human Services, for our PASP, or our physically disabled county adults program, ages 18 to 70. This $130,000 grant will cover the cost of administration, monthly oversight, as well as services for participants. Resolution 24, an appropriation from the Department of Criminal Justice, State of New Jersey, for the Office of the Prosecutor, $49,200. This is for the continuation of our community justice program. This grant will help cover the part-time salaries of workers and benefits, student interns, stipends, services, and supplies for the program.
Okay, let's start with Resolution 20. Question, comments? 21.
21.
Mr. McInerney?
I was just curious, Mr. Cello, do you know what the annual DOT grant was for 2012?
No, but I can get that for you. It's pretty close to
same?
this, but I'll get you the exact amount.
Thanks. And I was looking at those projects. I don't know how it prints out, but the print is very, 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 very small when you
We'll
look
get
at
you a
it.
cleaner copy.
Yeah, I think the freeholders would need that.
But in terms of what projects are part of this year's allocation, there is for roadway resurfacing, $3,277,200. For sealing of cracks and joints in our roadways, $100,000. Traffic stripes and markings, $100,000. For traffic signal improvements, $500,000. Replacement of bridge, $700,000. And as you know, when we did the parking deck next to the Hall of Records, they've increased our allocation by $750,000. There's also the parking deck allocation, which is a debt service of $750,000.
Yeah, I got you. But if I might, Madam,
Continue.
I think the interest will be which streets, which.
Yes, that was my next
So
question.
that's.
I will provide that list.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, let's go to question, comments on 22. You have a comment, Freeholder Clark, on which?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to ask your permission, Madam President, if we could go back to the bus shelters, because I remembered where the location was.
Okay, we'll go back.
I want to ask through you, Madam President, to you, Mr. Chalella, if you could, through Madam President, ask New Jersey Transit, could they consider the bus shelter at the corner of Main Street and Grove on the, let's see, on the northbound side of, it would be the northbound side of Grove and the eastbound side of Main. That bus stop is used a lot by the senior citizens at that building, and it was them that asked me to, could they please have a covering over it so that when it rains or it snows.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that there was a concern also about that Grove Street Bridge. We did something on that bridge before, but you said that there's an allocation for sealing cracks and that sort of thing?
Through you, Madam President, for our roadways.
Could you just have somebody check that?
The Grove Street
It's
Bridge?
The Grove Street Bridge from Main Street to Sussex Avenue. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I think we're on 22 for questions and comments. Freeholders, 23, 24. Okay, Madam Clerk, we'll list 20 through 24.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, Madam President. Sorry to interrupt, but I do have a comment.
You can't comment at this time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can later.
You can later.
Okay.
We'll call, but I call for the remarks from the audience, okay? No
That's okay.
problem. No problem. Let's continue, freeholders. Ralph, let's go to resolution 25.
25 is our Parks Recreation. We are requesting the approval and acceptance of a letter of agreement from the New Jersey Historic Trust for the Discover New Jersey History Grant, $3,000. This is an additional agreement that the New Jersey Historic Trust requires our governing body to submit so that the county could receive this $3,000 grant. And this grant primarily will be utilized for historic holiday house tours within the county of Essex. And Kipps Castle is one of those on the historic history tour.
26 withdrawn by the administration. Ralph, let's go to 27.
27 is our Parks Department requesting a contract award to Aquatic Technologies for the monitoring and chemical control of algae and aquatic vegetation in various park locations. We are exercising a second-year option. There is a list of the parks and services that this contract will address, and it includes Brentwick Park, the Lagoons, Weequahic Park, the Irvington Park Pond, Grover Cleveland Park Pond, the Orange Park Pond, Verona Park Pond, and just to give you an idea, last year the contract, the county spent roughly $41,855 on this item.
28.
28 is Department of Health and Rehab, our hospital center. We are requesting a 2-year affiliation agreement with Montclair State University. This is a renewal agreement. The students from Montclair State utilize our site as a practicum site, and this is for their counseling students. The university does cover the insurances to cover the students, and it's both helpful to the psychiatric hospital as well as the college and the students.
Okay.
And 29?
29.
And finally, 29, the Office of the Sheriff, requesting the authorization to use the competitive contracting process for upgrades and complete maintenance of the existing NICE system. And this NICE system is a call system that the Sheriff's Department utilizes at the Leroy Smith Public Building. It's a recorder and a management of their phone lines. And there is a detailed schematics in your package on this project. And the use of competitive contracting is permitted for bid-exempt items under 40-A11-5-1 double D exemption.
Okay. Okay, freeholders, questions and comments on 25, 27, 28, 29. I'm sorry, freeholder Clark.
Actually, it was 27, Madam President.
Let's go back to 27.
It was in reference to the algae. Are we going to, through you, Madam President, to you, Mr. Chilella, are we going to go with the aerators again?
Through you, Madam President, yes, I believe the aerators will be
The aerators
back
will
up
be there
very soon.
In addition to the
This-
chemical.
Exactly. I should also want to highlight, maybe the board would be interested, we're in the process of finalizing a agreement with the Week Lake Park Association for a lake restoration project.
Okay.
We will be bringing that hopefully
Okay.
soon back to the board, where we will be able to commit our county dollars, match their dollars on a, it's been a long
Yeah.
effort, but I think well worth it.
Great. And you know what else I was going to say? Have we asked our congressional delegation? Because I can't help but think back to the late congressman and the way, how he was able to get a congressional earmark to ensure that there was some restoration work done in that park. We were hopeful that we'd be able to go back, and my suggestion is, while we have President Obama in the White House and perhaps his ear, let's ask. I don't know what the mood and the mindset is in Washington these days, but hopefully, they'll think about it, in a way that they wouldn't mind being able to earmark some dollars for it. The only thing I would ask is that when you are using those chemicals, or the chemicals that they're using, could you check to see if they're environmentally friendly and to ensure that they don't do something bad to other things, i.e. birds or little duckies that they don't know any better. They see some water and they want to splash around.
We will provide the New Jersey DEP approval of the chemical usage for the waterways.
Yeah, and because I know even with the aerators going last year, it was a mess. So, I don't know.
Okay.
You know what? Could we get any FEMA dollars towards that?
Just off the top of my head, Madam President, I think that's more operational than it is from a catastrophe, and FEMA really.
Okay. Well, when we get to that point in the meeting, I'll tell you the question I asked of the gentleman who came to our NJAC meeting relative to Essex County.
Okay. All righty, additional question, comments on 27? I'm sorry. 28? 29, Mr. Polyvecchio?
Mr. Chilella, just something we started to talk about during leadership, but this NICE system, this is the maintenance of this system involves proprietary software, and that's, if I'm correct, that's the reason for the request to use the competitive contracting process.
Precisely, it is proprietary software. Okay. You're correct.
All right. Okay. So just for the board's edification, several years ago, the board passed a resolution requiring the administration to make a request and every time of the board every time they wanted to use the competitive contracting process. So we've been careful to ask to make sure that it is appropriate for the limited number of contracts that you can use competitive contracting for. And so when Mr. Chilella referenced proprietary software and things that are otherwise bid exempt, that's an appropriate use here with what he called, I think he referred to as the double D exception, which is just a provision in the local public contracts law.
Very good. Okay, freeholders, Madam Clerk, we'll list 25, 27, 28, and 29. And let's go, we'll list also Resolution 30 through 37, all commendations resolutions. Madam Clerk, do we have any added starter resolutions?
Madam President, we
ordinances?
have none.
Okay. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to speak? Just come up to the microphone. And please state your name and affiliation, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Sure. Calvin Oquego, resident of East Orange. You know, when I was actually looking at this one, number 23, I just wondered the $130,000 for the personal assistance services program. That's for the sole purpose of clarity. I kind of want to understand those dollars spent to that program. Is it for the sole purpose of professional care, transportation, or what? If so, can you be able to provide me with a detailed explanation? Just because I had the opportunity of going out into the community the other day, and I spoke with someone. I spoke with an individual who was disabled, and we were discussing voting. And she said that, and the community that she was at, adult daycare center, that she had problems at one point. I don't know if there or somewhere else, but she's disabled, going and voting. So I was wondering, the $130,000, like, what exactly is that for? Is it spent for professional care? Is it spent for transportation, or just by and large, is just spent just for the personal assistance services of, I guess, someone who's in need of professional care or something like that?
Okay, what our policy of this board is when questions, our constituents come before the mic and ask questions, we will respond to you in writing with a detailed explanation of your question.
Okay.
So within a week's time, you will receive a response from this board through the administration.
Thank you.
And thank you again for your comments.
Okay, 202 4th Avenue, East Orange, Calvin Oquego.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else from the audience who would like to speak at this time?
Good evening, Madam
evening.
President, Freeholder Body. Douglas Freeman, Weekway Park Sports Authority. Right now, I'd just like to announce that Mr. Wadu is sick. He's in UMD, and just to let y'all know. Also, in regards to the chemicals in the lake, would like to know, through you, Madam Chair, the chemicals that are being used, what type of chemicals are they? Secondly, throughout last year, we have been very successful with the park recreational and Cervantes office into getting a lot of things done within Elizabeth Avenue and Park. Yesterday was actually Weekway Sports Authority's 1-year anniversary, and we're happy to be working along with Weekway Park Association. We would like to know, through you, Madam Chair, what's going to happen with the bathhouse and the Dividend Hill. We would like to talk more about this, getting these 2 structures rehabilitated also within the budget. Thank you.
Very good. And again, your questions will be answered through by mail, like we always respond to you. And by the way, the young people that's sitting there next to you, are they your children?
Yes.
Well, I have to commend you. They've sat through the entire meeting, and I almost didn't know they were there. You want to give us their names? Let us know who they are?
You have to come to the mic.
Tell them to come to the mic. Come to the mic.
You got to lower the mic for them. You have to lower the mic
Lower
for
the
them.
mic for them. Okay, you want to give us your name and your address? No, you don't have to give us your address, just your name.
My name is Jalen Freeman.
Very good. Would you like to make a comment to the freeholders?
The Freeholders is a great place because the Freeholders have golf.
Oh.
And I like golf.
Okay.
And I like First Tee, and I hope Mr. Wadu will feel better.
Well, thank you so much. We're gonna, and we hope you feel better too. And what, you want to come? And we want you to come back and visit us, okay? Okay. Do you want to give us your name?
My name is Brianna Freeman.
Okay, would you like to say something to the freeholders? Just say hello. Hi. Thank you so much for coming and being with us this evening, okay? Okay, we'll go into no further. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak? No one? Okay, let's move to other business. Freeholders, do you have any business that you would like to bring to the freeholders' attention? Mr. I probably could call you tomorrow, Mr. Sherla, but just, I need a quick question. I don't know if you can answer this off the top of your head. Sanford Street in East Orange, is that a county road? Sanford Avenue, I'm sorry. Could you check that out for me?
I will.
Okay, and let me know, and I'll call you tomorrow, because I have a reason for asking that question. Thank you.
I will call.
Freeholders, additional questions? Ralph, do you have anything you would like to present to the board
No, Madam
on
President.
the record? Okay, then, freeholders, do I have a response? Oh, Freeholder Clark?
Did you go to reports of legislation?
No, that's not, this
Oh,
is a
okay.
conference meeting, but if you would like to make a report and you would rather make it tonight
Right,
instead of
we
tomorrow?
Oh,
I mean, next week? Okay, continue, Freeholder.
right. Just to say that NJAC met, and the person that actually spoke to us, as you know, at each of those meetings, we usually have a speaker, someone from state government. This time, the individual was the person that was in charge of the restoration effort in New Jersey in terms of the dollars that were coming in from FEMA. And I shared with him that while we certainly felt for everybody at the shore area, and our hearts went out to the devastation that, believe it or not, there was some pretty serious devastation up here in Essex County, and we weren't at the shore. So I asked how we might, our residents might avail themselves of some of those dollars, and he indicated that they do understand. They're trying to take calls on a first come, first served basis, because I told them what happened up here was that people got hard hit, and it was a double whammy because their insurance wasn't picking it up, and if you didn't have flood insurance, you kind of got stuck, and then FEMA wasn't going to give it to you either, because if you didn't have, it was a catch-22. If you didn't have the flood insurance, you couldn't get the FEMA dollars. So he indicated that they are really trying to answer people's questions. He didn't make any promises, but he did say that they're trying to answer people's questions, and I did get his card. So I'm going to pass that on to you, through you, Madam President, to our clerk, so that that information can be passed on to each freeholder, just in case you're getting calls relative to the aftermath that we're still dealing with of Hurricane Sandy. I don't know about you, but I know I'm still driving by sidewalks that are up, and the trees have been cut now, but it's still there. It's still a painful reminder.
Okay, just briefly, the freeholders' questions and public comments from our last meeting. We had questions from Freeholder Clark and Rufus Freeholder Johnson in reference to making a recommendation to sponsor a tennis tournament. The response coming from the administration was placed in your office on your desk on 3/20. Resolution 65, the county budget from Freeholder Clark. Your request that you made for a report was sent to the administration on the 14th. Response on the 20th should be in your office, Freeholder Clark. New business, again, Freeholder Clark asks if the county has received any indication to any impact to its social services or other program cuts in Washington. The memo was sent to the administration on the 14th. Response on the 20th. And other business from March 6th, Freeholders meeting. I did receive my copy, Rab, in reference to the contract. Thanks again, the information that I received from Essex County. Thank you, college, rather.
Yes.
Okay, thank you again. Freeholders, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.